So Varun, having turned to Christ, having experienced those initial hiccups, and then eventually coming to a point where you knew this was your calling and now this was your faith, and you've been through that little bit of distancing of friends, losing things that you loved earlier and all that. How has your personal journey been in knowing that today you are stronger in faith than you were in that first month or two? What are the top one or two things that you really learned in these 5 years of your journey walk with Christ?
One of the strongest things is to understand and accept the process of maturing, because sometimes, like when we say stronger, it may seem like, oh wow, like way more achieved or way more qualified or conquered kind of a thing, but in other words, your doubts are bigger, your questions are bolder now, but at the core of it, you have a stronger sense of security despite all these things. There are days I wake up wondering, man, like what am I doing? Like, is this really it, or have I lost it? So these thoughts are always going to be there, and especially as the word teaches, the closer we get towards the end times, the more these things are going to be. Some days you're wondering, I don't feel that compassion. Like I'm just not feeling compassionate enough today. What do I do? So these are questions that I didn't have when I started off, but now I'm facing those things. But at the core of it, I know that the God who called me is really big for these small things. He's got it. So that's one of the things. And a couple of other smaller things that I've learned along the way is stuff like being watchful about my words, because they have the power of life and death. So, and trying to be obedient to whatever I feel I need to do for today. Just not breaking my head about tomorrow, because I was a huge planner. I loved planning and mapping out my entire career. Okay, by this age I'm going to be doing this, then I'm going to be I want to be this guitar player, I want to be that, and all of that stuff. But just learning to let go of that and say, hey, if I have to be that, God will make that happen. I don't have to break my head and break my sweat about it. He's gonna enable it in some way or the other. So it's still a work in progress, but those are some things that I've carried along.
No, I always believe we are always work in progress. Yeah. The minute we feel that we've arrived, then something is wrong. So to summarize all the learnings that you've had, quick question: has it made you a better son?
I believe it has.
Okay, because that was what
yes.
the benchmark you set for yourself.
Yeah.
If I'm going to believe this God, then okay, great.
Yeah.
A quick question, which is an overlap between your faith and the kind of people that you meet by virtue of your profession. You're going to meet people from a variety of backgrounds, faith, religion, cultural, geographical, anything else. But even if I were to narrow it down to just those who profess Christianity as their faith, they are still diverse. You have denominations, you have cultural differences and all that. How have you seen that diversity? Have you seen it as a force that is pulling us apart, or does it help in actually trying to learn why this individual, this community is different than me or my community, and how can I appreciate that, and what is it that I can take from them and make my life better, more acceptable to Christ?
Yeah, it's a huge progress to get there, because when I started off, I think I did sound way more radical, because all of a sudden there is this heightened sense of everything that I'm experiencing. So even if something feels like little bit of gray, I'm not even going to get there. I'll be like, no means no, my no is a no, my yes is a yes, kind of a thing. And it can come across really radical, especially, and I'm assuming that's That's how it is for others too. When they first start off, especially coming from a different background, I'm assuming that's the case. But over a period of time, I've grown to understand, based on examples from the Bible and example of Christ himself, how he was accepting of people, how he didn't try to mold like a factory manufacturing way of everybody has to be like this. He let people have their different gifts. He let Peter be Peter with his all heart kind of a guy. He let Paul be Paul, so he let them be themselves. And I think I'm growing to understand more and more that there is power in that, in letting us be ourselves. Because if we try to be anything else apart from what we are, it's not going to last too long. It's going to go for a certain period of time, it's going to fall apart, and I think it's going to be a bigger mess when that happens. So it's more and more necessary for us to really be accepting. And when I say accepting, I also say it with the sense of responsibility of knowing and being rooted in the Word, not just being accepting in the worldly sense of anything is okay, everything is fine. No, knowing where we stand on the Word, but at the same time also understanding there is diversity in that as well. Like somebody comes up with a certain thought and says, this is what I believe, this is what I feel God has spoken to me. Let them have their journey. It may not agree with me, it may not agree with what I believe as of today, but maybe 3 months down the line I may understand what that person was saying. So let each of us have our journey of really growing, and eventually we're all getting there, and God promises that someday we'll understand everything, not right now. So we're not there yet about understanding everything. So there will be questions, there will be differences, and I think I would just end it by saying let's agree to disagree.
Right. Okay. So the only thing we have to be in agreement is Christ is our Lord, and agree on staying true to the faith.
Yeah.
Varun, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. That was Varun Murali. Please go up, look him up, and look up Swaratma, and I hope you enjoy the music.